Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mom Mondays. I am so excited for this to be our first episode of 2022. Listen, you guys asked for me to talk about other things, and that's including motherhood, but things that many people don't talk about. And so we're going to talk about maternal health in the African American community and how it is so necessary. Listen, this is something that happens to many of us, and we don't realize that this is happening. We are seeing to where 4 out of 5 and 4 women, there are possibly to where African American women die delivering their children. And so imagine the heartbreak to where that family has to decide whether to have the child live or to have the baby die. And so these are things that's unfortunate that's happening, and it's unfair. But I believe that the more that we talk about it, and the more we are talking about it, we can bring awareness to having the correct prenatal care, knowing your body, knowing what's happening to you. Of course, you are carrying a human, but there are things inside of you that you know your body, and to not be afraid to have that discussion with your doctor. And so my first guest is, again, I'm so excited. You guys make sure you follow her because she is very instrumental in just the conversation of motherhood and business. And so I want to welcome Kalila Watkins to the Mom Monday episode. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you again for thinking of me. And I work in social media, so I know the work that goes into creating a platform. So again, thank you for having me and allowing me to share my story in your space. I'm in your house. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, this is kind of new because the format of it is very different from how I usually do Mom Mondays. And so now the what I want to do is a talk show form. And I know because of COVID, we have to play it safe. But again, this is a new season for me. And so I just really do appreciate women like yourself to even saying yes to joining me on just everything new that I am doing. So again, thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Absolutely. Happy to be here. I'm happy to dive right in.
Yes, yes, yes. So we're going to dive right into the conversation. Let moms listen. I hope you guys have your note devices out, whatever you're doing, because this is going to be some good information that you want to make sure you are writing down and you are just adding to your journey of pregnancy if you're pregnant, or even just journeying into your motherhood journey. Okay.
Mhm.
And so I would love for you to go ahead and just share your story with us.
Awesome. So I am a mother, I'm a wife, but before that, I was someone's daughter, So I was someone's granddaughter and cousin and friend. And I think that in preparation for being a wife and being a mom, I focused on how I would be in that title and not necessarily who I was before then. And so there's a lot of times when we raise little girls to become moms, but we
Mhm.
don't necessarily raise our sons up in that
Mhm.
same caliber. So I recognize, doing that inner child work and going through therapy and thinking back all the way to, I'm a 90s baby, I'm a millennial. So thinking back to, 1990 and just recognizing all of the things that have come up in my life in these 31 years
Mhm.
and how did I get here? How did I get to today?
Yes.
So, as a mother of two girls, my first birth experience, I was really naive. I didn't take child care classes. I didn't go to any Lamaze classes. In my mind, I'm like, okay, God is just gonna
Mhm.
take care of me, right?
Mhm.
Well, thankfully, I'm alive to tell the
Yeah.
story, but had I done the work, I oftentimes hear, "Oh, there's no manual. Nothing prepared me for postpartum or nothing prepared me for
Mhm.
pregnancy." And that's false. In this information age, in this digital age that we're in, it's 2022. You can't tell me that you can't do the work to educate yourself. I mean, we now have the power of a hashtag.
Mhm.
That's how I literally got to the place of
Wow.
home birth,
Wow.
by looking through hashtag Chicago home birth, hashtag Chicago doula. literally because I'm like, there has to be a better way. I
Mhm.
wasn't comfortable in the prenatal care that I was
Mhm.
receiving. So I literally just used the power of social.
Mhm.
So to kind of take a couple steps back, my oldest daughter, Eden, was born January 2017.
Mhm.
And 2 weeks prior to giving birth to her, my husband had a stroke. And at the time, we were living in Washington, D.C. We were part of a church plant in Washington, D.C. We decided, hey, let's go ahead and come back home to Chicago. And
Mhm.
so, with me being like 37, 38 weeks pregnant, him, suffering from a stroke in his sleep, I'm sitting here thinking, like, God, what am I going to do? And how is this going to impact my birth plan? Will my husband Jacob be able to be there with me? Do I have to be alone? Now, this is 2017, so obviously pre-pandemic, but
Mhm.
it's interesting that I had to think about what does
Mm.
it look like for me to be alone even then.
Wow.
So many women are dealing with that now and have been since, late February, early March of 2020. What does it look like to labor and to birth
Yeah.
this being that I've carried for so long by myself? And so thankfully, things worked out where my husband was able to be there. My mom, Kim English, who's been, one of a guest on your previous episodes, and so I am grateful that he was able to be with me. However, that birth experience was very traumatic, and I did not recognize how it impacted me until it was time to be discharged from the hospital.
Wow.
And my labor was 29 hours.
Mm.
I would say around 19, the 19th hour is when a labor and delivery nurse finally asked, hey, what's your plan for managing pain? Lady, I've been sitting here for 19 hours with my eyes closed, gripping the rails of the bed. And now you want
Wow.
to ask me what's
Wow.
my plan to manage the pain? So I'm asking about my options. You've watched me for 19 hours be in pain. I'm hungry, I'm starving because you can't eat, you
Right.
can't drink, you feeding me ice chips, my lips are dry, my ankles swollen. So all of
Yeah.
the other things that so many women experience.
Yeah.
And so I look back now and I think no one asked me if I was familiar with different labor positions.
Mhm.
No one asked me if I wanted to walk up and down the hall or maybe get on a birthing ball to rotate my hips,
Mhm.
open up my pelvis to help the baby come down through the birth
Yeah.
canal. So I'm just sitting here laying on my back for 29 hours. Of
Mhm.
course, she's not going to come.
Right.
I'm not physically supporting her birth. I'm not physically supporting her being able to come
Yes.
either. So I see it, I hear it all the time. So many women are like, wow, the same thing happened to me.
Yes.
And so I'm, having to hurry up and make this decision at the 19th hour. She doesn't want to physically come. So between balloons and vacuums, then them trying to force her to come, I asked, how many centimeters dilated am I? And at that point, this was my first notice of the process or procedure of how things go. And I was told, well, you're almost 6 centimeters. So if you want an epidural, you need to just do it now or decide not to have the epidural at all. So then I'm nervous. I'm like, well, mommy, what does an epidural feel like? What if she's like, girl, I can't help you? She's like, girl, I can't help you. I gave birth to you 26 years ago. Just be still, don't cough, don't sneeze, don't move. And I'm like, oh, goodness, Lord.
Yeah.
Like, this is my first experience. And this is why some women are like, I'm one
Yeah.
and done. I never want to do this again.
Yeah.
Or this is why I understand some women are like, I'm never having children because to physically sacrifice
Mhm.
not just ourselves physically, but emotionally.
Yes.
I really thought or expected to be educated from my labor and delivery team. You know, I'm a first time mom. You see my husband on he basically sleep in the corner. He's
Mhm.
on 3 different pills, fresh off of a stroke, out of the hospital. What support can he really
Right.
be,
Got
you
it.
know?
Yeah.
And so I decided at that moment I never want another woman or another mom to just go in expecting, "Oh, Imma let the hospital take care of me."
Yeah, the
No.
support of the hospital that you
Yes.
think that's going to be there. Yeah. Yeah.
It is a business. It
Yes.
is a
Yeah.
business, and they're there to make money.
Yeah.
I am not anti-hospital. I recognize that hospitals are great for sickness, great for emergencies,
Exactly.
and some women, some moms do need the assistance of
Yes.
the hospital to bring your baby here. I totally understand that.
Mhm.
I would like to see more of us, especially African American women, educate ourselves on the options.
Yes.
And so if a hospital is not necessarily what you'd like, there are other options. There are birthing centers. Unfortunately, at the moment, we don't really have any on the south side of Chicago or in the south suburbs.
Yeah.
But there are, great women like Carrie Stewart, who's a midwife at University of Chicago.
Mhm.
She's looking to put a South Side birthing center, right in the city so that women
Yeah.
have other options. If you live in Chicago, what other option do you have? You can't go to Roseland Community
Yeah.
Hospital. You can no longer go to Trinity Hospital. You either have to drive almost 20 minutes west to go to Christ in Oak Lawn.
Yeah.
And so you have miles and miles and thousands of
Yeah.
women who either need to go to the South Suburban area or they need to go to Northwestern or far
Yeah.
beyond, further north. And I recognize, we are in the Chicagoland area, but I imagine that there are women in other states dealing with the exact same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the problem that we are seeing is that even with the locations of these facilities, they are not in the inner city. And
Mhm,
so what happens again is that the inner city suffers or don't
mhm.
have, I would say don't have. I'm not going to say suffer, but we go neglected with not having those birthing centers. We have emergency rooms, but
Yes,
we don't have a birthing center. We barely have a triage, but we
yes,
don't have a birthing center. And I think
yes,
that it limits us of options, because when we don't see other options, we just go ahead and take what's in front of us. And so it does become a thing to where women are terrified to go and
absolutely,
deliver, because
absolutely.
and when they do, they have to, again, like what you said, they have to drive miles away and
Mhm,
hoping and praying that maybe I can just have a scheduled deduction, or where I can deliver on schedule,
mhm.
instead of I'm in a grocery store and my water breaks and I'm going to be transferred to the
Oh, yeah.
local hospital. So it's a very traumatic experience, and I think a
Yes.
lot of times we don't realize how it's affecting the mental space of
Mhm.
moms, to even just have that fear of, I want to make sure me and my child comes home.
Safe
That's
in one
traumatic.
piece, one whole piece, like, no issues,
No issues, no
nothing.
going back, no,
Yes,
blood losses, no hemorrhaging. We want to just come home with our
yes,
children.
yes.
And the fact that that is a fear,
Mhm.
we have to realize that this is not okay. I
Yeah,
know that there are a lot of things that are happening to where we are trying to make this the norm conversation, but this needs to be amplified to the fact to where we are seeing the results, to where now there are birthing centers,
yes,
not just at in local hospitals, but we're talking about in the city,
yes.
in your local city, where you
Mhm.
see where the population of women is very strong when it
Yeah,
comes to having children, right? So why is it that we don't have that? We have everything else, but see the need that's in that city. Exactly, right? And
it
so it
it
boils down to the
it is
money. And
money.
so, I think that when you said, it was the hashtag of social media, how much social media really brought this awareness and really helped you with it. I think that is something that is so true, that it is okay to do some learning about it. It is okay to
Mhm.
study. Listen, there used to be a time to where, I'm pregnant, I'm excited, but now it's like I'm pregnant, I'm excited, and I'm scared
At the same time.
all at the same time.
Mhm. At the
All at
same
the same
time.
time. And so just imagine holding that along with the development of your child
Mhm.
for 9 months, 10 months, like, and then after that, you go through the postpartum. What
Oh,
I believe
yeah.
is that
Oh,
sometimes,
yeah.
but and you can ask me about this, but I believe sometimes the postpartum is not something that just happens automatically. There's something that's happening before you kind of deliver that
Yes.
baby, like
Yes.
in your mind or something. And I'm not a professional, I'm not a doctor, but I just know from experience there are things that I was already feeling to once I had my child. Okay,
Yes.
I'm going home with these feelings. These feelings were actually with me before I
Yes.
delivered,
Yes.
but I don't think that there's something that's there for women to talk about.
I totally agree, and there's so many. I almost wish we might have to do, like, a part 2 or part
No,
3.
I was thinking that. I was like, this is going to be a part two. I was like, I'm
I
pretty sure this
am
is going to be a part two.
I am on board to continue the conversation for sure. However many parts we need to break it up into, I'm on board. I would say, oh goodness, there's just so much to literally break down, not just through my experience, but from
Yeah.
what I've seen and from what my loved ones are texting me about. This has
Mhm.
kind of pushed me into the idea of how can I become a certified postpartum doula?
Yeah.
Because that fourth trimester,
Oh,
which we don't really talk about, and I think that there's so much money and there's glitz and fame and glamour and Instagram and
yeah.
social media that goes into the preparation for the baby. And this is why I no longer purchase baby shower gifts. I literally am going and boxing up pads,
Yes.
Advil, a foot massage gift card,
Yes.
a robe for mom, a shower cap, maybe with her name on it, some
Yes.
fuzzy socks, because literally
Yeah.
you can feel lost.
Yeah.
And I'm no expert either. I'm certainly not a therapist, but I know enough to recognize through a hospital birth,
Hmm.
through a second trimester pregnancy loss, and then a home birth. I've
Yeah.
had these postpartum experiences
Hmm.
3 different times, and so
Yeah.
I'm, treading lightly, but literally asking God, like, "Okay, God, there's a reason why I went through all
Yeah.
of these different experiences. Show me how I can support other women.
Hmm.
Show me how I can be there so that other women feel seen and heard."
Yeah.
So, my first birthing experience, I am grateful that I was able to come home alive, but I would never want anyone else to deal with that. Being discharged, I was kind of they were trying to force me to
Hmm.
take the Depo-Provera shot for birth control, which to me sounds like population control in the African American community. And the nurse sent other nurses and the physician,
Hmm.
"Oh, are you sure you don't want to take the birth
Yeah.
control? Well, here's the statistics. When women come back to their 6-week postpartum checkup, sometimes they come back pregnant." And I had to get a little snippy and say, "Look, I'm married.
Yeah.
And if we chose to have babies back to back, that's on me."
Yeah.
I said no. You didn't educate me on what the ingredients are in this shot. No shade or slight to any woman or
Yeah.
family that decides to get that.
Hmm.
But in my experience, you want to give me a shot, and then you didn't even tell me what is it for? What
Hmm.
are some of the side effects? You don't know me. My doctor knows me. You don't really know me. So you
Yeah.
can't tell me if there's something going on in my body. Will I react to any of it?
Yeah.
So, time and time again, "Are you sure you don't want it? You sure?" I'm like, "Look, if I could wait all this time,
Hmm.
I think I'm good. I'm good. No, thank you. I don't want the birth control." So we finally get home. And so here I am, postpartum number 1, and taking care of my husband who is dealing with, physical therapy from a stroke,
Hmm.
speech therapy, all of these things,
Hmm.
literally to the point where one day when I was home by myself, it may have been like the third or fourth week postpartum, literally went in the kitchen and just started breaking dishes because I did not realize how sad I was gonna feel. I wanted to be excited. I wanted to be so happy, but it's like I just gave birth in a room full of strangers. My baby was born under bright lights. We don't know these people.
Yeah.
Everything was just cold, tools being passed around. You know, you deliver legs wide open on your back, which, if you think about gravity in science, it makes no sense why for years women have been forced to birth this way. So there's just so many things to think about. And I'm like, this is crazy. I never want to feel like this again.
Yeah.
So I just am grateful, for those experiences. But like I said, I've also even experienced second trimester pregnancy loss. And so even in dealing with that, I lost this baby and didn't even recognize because I was taking care of my husband who ended up having another stroke in this pregnancy.
Wow.
So here I am at this point, like, okay, I was pregnant, didn't even know that my body was no longer growing the baby because I'm in survival mode. I'm like, okay, here go another stroke. Okay, we got a 3-year-old daughter. Okay, I got to get her to school. Who in my village can I call on? My obstetrician was already telling me we were gonna have an induction because she was going on vacation. Ma'am, no. That
Oh wow.
that is what
She's
we
going on
see
vacation.
so many times.
Oh
We
wow.
see it so many times. If you're due around Christmas or around Thanksgiving or any special holidays, doctors want to go home or they want to go on vacation. Oh, let's go ahead and get you induced. And in our minds, we're so conditioned to think that, oh yeah, I'm gonna be tired, I'm gonna be done, I'm gonna be ready to have this baby. No, let it happen naturally the way it's supposed to. Mama, I know you tired. I know your belly done stretch. You didn't think it could stretch anymore. I know you sick of the cravings and peeing every 30 seconds. But guess what? Let that baby come on its own, because what's happening is we're seeing that these forced inductions are leading to emergency cesarean sections,
Yeah.
because now we're on a time frame.
Yeah.
I done gave you this induction. I'm ready to go home for Christmas. This baby's still in here. You've been in labor for however many hours. Now it's an emergency.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the scary thing about it, is when even, my story, when I had to I think my oldest was the only one to where it was like, okay, now, he came, but it was still like, oh no, the hospitals are full. Come back.
Mm-hmm.
And it took us a whole week. It was like a whole week.
And they
No,
will send you
come
back.
back. And it was like, oh my God, like, what do you mean come back? As if I went and brought something from the store and I'm trying to do it. Like, no, just come back. No, come back. And me and my husband, we were just we started to get concerned because there was no, let's check the baby. Let's see the growth of the baby. Let's see if the baby is okay. It's just, let's look at your paperwork. And no, come back. We're seeing that we have all these active pregnancies, which I get, but there was no, let's check you, let's check the baby.
Yes.
And
we have all these appointments during prenatal.
Yeah.
And then you get 1 6-week checkup afterwards.
Yeah. Because I think
one checkup for mom.
Yeah, and I think the thing that we're missing is even the follow-up is like, it's a late follow-up. I have went home with my child, especially new moms. Like the first 24 hours of your life, you are sitting in the new norm of what you will experience.
Yes.
And to wait for 6 weeks to see a doctor.
So much can happen in 6 weeks.
So many things can happen to your body, to your mind, to your household. And so just within those 6 weeks, it becomes very scary if we don't deal with them correctly. And I feel like that is a part of what we are seeing in the African American community when it comes to the maternal health. Our maternal health kind of just stops once sometimes it depends on the story, but once we deliver the baby.
Yes.
And it's like, well, no.
We are still whole. We're still human. The clock keeps ticking.
Yeah.
So maybe instead of these baby shower gifts or instead of these elaborate celebrations,
I agree with that.
how about you get 25 family members to each give $100, and you can pay for a doula.
Yeah.
You can pay for an advocate, someone who's trained to be there for you and to
Mhm.
nip things in the bud with your practitioner when something ain't right.
Mhm. Mhm.
How about we gather 15 people that we love who claim they'll be, a part of our village and be there to support us,
Mhm.
assign each of them a meal.
Yeah.
Week 1, I need you to handle just 2 meals that week and drop them off on my porch.
Mhm.
Week
Mhm.
2, here you go. You got the meal.
Yeah.
Week 3, let me see. We gotta cook, do laundry, everything, and you just had your
Yeah.
insides falling out just
Yeah.
4 hours
It's
ago, and you're still
it's yeah.
expected to keep going. We are
Yeah.
not choo-choo trains. We are
Yeah.
humans who deserve
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah. And not just that, moms, you have to know you have permission to stop. You have permission. You have just
Yep.
pushed a baby out.
Mhm.
You have permission. If no one has given you permission, we are giving you permission to
Yes,
just stop,
we
to
have to
just
speak up.
pause. And it's okay. And you don't have to be afraid of it. I think sometimes, I'm going to say for myself, I'm afraid, like, what's going to happen, like, if I don't do this,
Yes.
and I think that, of course, it's important to show up for yourself, but it's those times to where we don't know how to show up when we're tired. I prefer you to say, I'm trying to show up for myself as a
Mhm.
mom. I'm
Mhm.
trying to do this, but I don't know how to today. I just delivered a baby. I'm trying to, even
Mhm.
the frustration of breastfeeding. So I'm trying to
Oh,
show
yeah.
up and produce for my child, because that is a part of showing up, right? Is to
Mhm.
feed your children as
Yep.
well. But I don't know how. So can someone help me beyond the
Mhm.
fact that, what I received at the doctor and when they first showed me how to breastfeed, all those other things. And now they do
It's
kind of
10
support.
minutes.
Yeah. Because they gotta go, they have to go to the
They
next,
gotta go get
they have to
somebody else.
go.
Like,
And so
how
if the
many
baby
can I
doesn't
squeeze in
latch
a
right
day?
there, yeah. And so when the baby doesn't latch there in that moment, I'm just gonna say
Mhm.
from my experience, I felt like, am I not good enough? Like, I am supposed to feed my children,
Like, do you see my cup size? I should
right?
be running over.
I should be able
What's
to
wrong?
feed a community. I was like, what is happening? I was like, no way.
Mhm.
And so it turned into where there was no, for me personally, there was no discussion of, well, these are some things that will enhance your breast milk.
Yes.
And
And
so I,
it
I think that now there is, when
yeah.
it comes to the doulas and all the midwives, they have a list full of things. But for me personally, I'm not going to say it doesn't exist, but I have not seen to where in a doctor's appointment or a doctor's office to where they say, moms, take this or do certain things to produce more milk. This
No.
is just me personally. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist.
I haven't seen it.
And
I
I feel like, though, yeah, I think that should be a part of your prenatal
mhm.
visits.
Mhm.
Hey,
Haven't
here's some
experienced
things
that.
right here. I know one time my mom was, calling me, and she said, what am I supposed to do? I'm here trying to feed my newborn baby. And I had to take myself out of the equation, because I want to say, listen, I was there too, but I
Yeah.
couldn't make her panic more, right? And
Yeah.
so I had to hurry up and just give her a list of things that I had found on my own time when I was trying to produce the milk for my children. And so,
Yes.
that was something that's a part of that community that we need when we're talking about, how what the African American community needs when it comes to maternal health and all these other things. We need information, and your information has to be also included into your village. Now, granted, some people, they're like, I don't really know, I could just send you to a store, they don't know what to get. But I think that is just so important to have, just filling your village with information.
Yeah. Share, share, share. I mean, keep the horror stories, but the other stuff, share, share, share.
Yeah.
That's how we learn from not just our experience, but from other moms. Like,
Mhm.
we have to share. We have to keep
Yeah.
talking about it. We need each other.
Mhm.
Our experiences may not be identical, but yours may mirror someone else's, a
Yeah.
neighbor, a friend, someone from church, someone in the community.
Mhm.
Me sharing my traumatic hospital experience, me sharing what I went through with my miscarriage, and then me sharing when I found out that we were pregnant for the third time right at the beginning of the pandemic. So many women who I know and didn't know have messaged me, either through social media or called or texted me like,
Yeah.
I'm going through the same thing. Can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
So I recognize now like those situations weren't in vain.
Yeah.
Well, with my youngest daughter, Ani, she just turned 1, and so I found out that I was pregnant in May of 2020, and immediately in my mind,
Mm.
I'm like, I'm having her at home.
Mm.
I do not with I, it's May 2020. We have no
Yeah.
idea what's going on with COVID. We really thought, hey, okay, it'll be over in 2 weeks. Our job sent us home, right? Okay, y'all come back.
Yeah.
They sent the kids home. We'll be back in 2 weeks. And here we are, almost 3 years later,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's still not over.
Yeah.
So immediately I said, I have no idea how I'm gonna find these resources, but I want to give birth at home.
Mhm.
Is there a trophy or a special prize or a reward for birthing at home? Absolutely not. Did it hurt just as much as like you birthing without medicine or birthing through pain doesn't make me like Wonder Woman or anything. It doesn't make me better than the other mom who had to deliver through cesarean, or a mom who had to choose adoption, things like that. Home birth for me was, I don't feel seen, I don't feel
Mhm.
heard. I'm having these prenatal visits and you're projecting fear. This
Mm.
is fear-based maternal health care, and I don't like it.
Oh my.
I don't know why y'all doing this to me, but in a minute, I'ma just figure out how to have her at home by myself.
Yeah.
I literally felt like my back was against the wall. From the beginning, I'm talking, with my practitioner, sharing some of my concerns with her. Hey, I just had a miscarriage 2 months ago. Now here I am pregnant again.
Yeah.
How are you going to educate me? Like,
Mhm.
educate me. I think that practitioners sometimes forget. You went through medical school. I
Yeah.
didn't.
Right.
It's
Right.
okay to teach me.
Yeah.
Whether this is your sixth pregnancy, your ninth pregnancy, or the first one, like always begin each session with education in
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
Remind me what body part works for what, and then in my situation, this is, one of my issues sometimes with purity culture within our Black churches is
Yeah.
that, abstinence is the forefront and it's the message, but then there's a lack of Titus 2 women, elders in the church, older
Mhm.
women who are already wives, to
Mhm.
bring up the generation
Yeah.
underneath them to say, hey, I know we're telling you to abstain, but now that you're in engagement and now that you're being courted, or once you become a wife and a mom, here, let me pull you to the side and show you what you should do.
Mhm.
So I went into so many of my birthing experiences, and even, with marriage, I'm like, okay, I'm a virgin. What am I supposed to do? Oh,
Yeah.
I got a baby. Oh Lord, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to put on lingerie? But y'all told me for 21 years don't do that. So now you think the light switch is just I'm supposed to be this like sex machine for my husband? Like, so
Yeah.
I literally went through so many changes from married at 25, my first encounter, my first sexual encounter with my husband at 25. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Now I'm pregnant 6 months later after getting married. Then there's just so much. And so if you
Yeah.
think about all of that those mental changes over and over and over and over and over again, maternal health care just doesn't start when you deliver. It starts we start raising our little girls to remind them boundaries. And when someone touches you, this is what you should do. These are your body parts. This is that. Not save yourself. Don't have sex till you get married. Then you in my situation, once you get married, you like,
Okay, man, you.
oh, I'm supposed to be sexy? I'm supposed to do what?
Oh, wow.
You want me to do what to him? Oh
Wow.
my God. No, that's nasty. Because that's what
Mhm.
has been programmed in my
Yeah.
mind. So for me, this journey has really allowed me to look back on so many things. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't know I had fibroids until I had a
Mhm.
miscarriage. My doctors
Mhm.
have obviously been looking at them all these years and just never
Mhm.
said nothing to me about.
Never
I didn't know
said
what
nothing.
a fibroid.
Yeah, it's a thing to where I think you really did hit the nail on the head when you talked about fear-based maternal health.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
and I think the thing is that we become fearful to ask questions.
we do, we
Like, I
do.
don't want to ask this question
Mm.
because I'm gonna feel judged, or no. Like, I sat in a doctor's office and I asked questions. I had to ask so many questions to where they were like, "Would she just shut up?" And I know they were tired because they kept looking at their next patient clipboard. But it was important for me to
Yes.
ask all these questions because I just experienced a very traumatic
Mm-hmm.
experience,
Mm-hmm.
where I literally almost died. And so I need to know, me carrying this child, what is this going to happen? What's going to happen to me?
Yeah.
You know, and so it was very important for me and my husband to have all of that information
Yeah.
because we need to be prepared. And I would say, because of the fear of what could possibly happen,
Mm-hmm.
I just said, you know what, I have to. I would rather sit here and ask all these questions, and instead of going home and stressing myself out
Yeah.
because I didn't ask the question.
Yes.
And now the doctor's gone home, and now I'm at home having all of these thoughts
Mm-hmm.
in my head, like, what's going to happen now? And I think we have to be okay with just asking the questions, and knowing that it's important for you to ask the questions because you want to ask them from their perspective, but you want to also allow them to understand how determined you are is to become educated on what you're going through. I think a lot of times that not we don't have a lot of access when it comes to having the information,
Oh, absolutely.
but we have to also understanding that we have to become confident in realizing that, what, I may not have a doctor telephone number, but I do have it to where
Mm-hmm.
I can find the doctor for me. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
the best doctor, but a doctor for my story, a doctor for my birthing story.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be either home birth or where you're going to deliver in the hospital. You have to find out what works for you. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes we are forced to just say, take this. This is what you're going to be served. You're going to have to do it here. You're going to have to deliver this way. You're going to have to choose these doctors. And we feel like our options are taken away from us as
Mm-hmm.
mothers.
Yeah.
And it's not
Yeah.
fair. It becomes very traumatic. So it's like, I never want to experience that again.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
never want to go through that again. I don't want to go through even the embarrassment
In front of strangers,
in
people
front
you
of
don't know.
strangers. But what blesses me is that these strangers are student doctors. So I felt like, and I'm gonna be honest, I was at one hospital and a group of students came in while I was delivering was my third child.
Okay.
And the doctor said, "Hey, we have some students here and they're doing some research." I'm like, I am delivering
No,
a baby,
you can
you
say
know,
no.
and it was things like that we're gonna, and I was like, why? To me personally, I looked at my husband and I'm like, what? Why is this even a norm? To
No.
when a woman is going through labor, to where student doctors come in and
Mhm.
treat you not in a disrespectful way because they're trying to get the information, but you don't want that right now. I
No.
can tell you everything once I finish. Please let me finish. But I don't feel like talking.
Yeah.
My body is opening
Going to
itself
running
to
a
push.
marathon. It's like
Yeah.
running a marathon. Yeah.
I said it is 3 students in here. The doctor I knew, the nurses I know, but now it's 3 students in here,
Mm-hmm.
basically catching up on some. I think it's, to this day I'm still like, is this real? Like, wow. Like, wow. And I
This
think a
is what
part,
we go through.
yeah, it's those little things that we don't realize that was not okay until we get home and we think about our birthing story. Like, that
Yes.
wasn't cool. Like, that wasn't even really necessary for them to do.
No. Like, where was the consent? When did you? And that's one thing I will say. And of course, I don't want to look, I don't want to hijack, our episode, but we can definitely, turn this into a part two.
Yeah.
But just one final thing I wanted to say, and this, what you just said made me think about the different experiences. My home birth, the midwife asked me, could she give me stitches? She asked me, could she remove my placenta? She asked me, was I ready to cut the cord?
Mm-hmm.
The placenta, the cord, everything stayed attached.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, it's like the light bulb went off. And I'm like,
Yeah.
she just asked me, could we cut the cord? She just asked me and educated me and told me, hey,
That's it.
you've got a
Yeah.
second degree tear.
Yeah.
I suggest you don't have to, but I would stitch this and I'll do it right here in your home.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you? And I'm like, you mean you didn't just plop my legs wide open and start stitching? Well, I really get an opportunity to think about it and to say yes or no. It was
Yeah.
a totally different experience.
Yeah. It is.
Totally different experience. I mean, I ate while I was in labor when I
Mm-hmm.
gave birth at home. I mean, my doula was asking, hey, what do you want? I said, I want some Doritos. Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
It was a totally different experience. I was comfortable. I was in my own space, in my own home. There wasn't, like some glorious moment coming down from the heavens or anything like that. Trust me, it still was painful. But I was able to literally be in control. It was my show. I was running the show.
Yeah.
I was able to say, I don't like this. This doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to say, no, just give me a minute. And she said, okay, you let me know when you're ready.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what? And I looked over at my mom. I was like, wow. She said,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I didn't think she was going to ask permission, because why do we feel weird
Mm-hmm.
when someone's asking to touch your body? When you just birthed a whole human.
Yeah.
You don't want to be flooded with 100 questions.
Yeah.
She gave me permission to literally just lay there, skin to skin for a whole hour, no interruptions, without cutting the cord, just me and Ani.
Yeah.
An hour at the hospital, the baby is already bathed. They done already received shots. They already got the diaper on. They done already put the cream on the eyeballs and
Yeah.
everything. I'm like, wow, we really can just sit here in silence.
Yeah.
I literally can look at her and get a chance to see all her birthmarks. Like, you didn't just like whip her away from me and take her away, and then I finally get her. Somebody's really coming back in the morning to check on me, and then again in 48 hours, and then again at 4 weeks, and then again at 6 weeks. Wow.
Yeah.
It was a totally different
Yeah.
experience.
Wow.
And I get it. Every mom might not be able to choose that path, but there are birthing centers. There are other options outside of the trauma that we have these options.
Mm-hmm.
You might have to drive to the north side if you're in Chicago.
Yeah, you're gonna have to drive.
You might have to drive 30, 45 minutes, but we have so many options. And I just would really want to encourage to seek the options. Like, check apps, look through hashtags. There are doulas, there are, birth workers, lactation consultants, people who can come to your home, people who can really be there for you. Like, maternal health care doesn't start when we see the positive test.
Yeah.
It starts when we're little girls. And I hope that we're teaching our little girls to speak up for themselves. And we're teaching them their body parts. And we're teaching them, more than just save yourself a marriage, but we're actually teaching them how to be wives according to the way that God has called us to be, and how to be moms a way that it's listed, biblically. That's maternal. That's innate.
Yes.
That's health. That's our mental well-being, our emotional, spiritual well-being.
Yeah, I
So,
agree with that. I
yeah.
think that we don't realize how our body as women, how our body is preparing itself to grow and evolve, not
Mhm.
just become a wife or just to become a mother,
Right.
but it's holding itself responsible so that one day you will do this if you
Yes.
choose this decision to
If you
have children.
choose,
You
you
know, you
might
do,
not.
but at the end of the day, this is what you see. When you have a mother, you like, okay, some mom, some kids, I want to be like my mom, I want to have children, all these things. And the thing about it is, like, what we talk about is, when we think of healthcare, we're thinking about the whole person,
Yes.
and not just the maternity part, but you as a whole individual, which is why it's so important for
Mhm.
us to understand that. Stop thinking that you don't know your body. You have been
Oh,
with your
yeah.
body. You've been this. Your body.
Mhm.
So granted, you
You
need,
do.
doctor's reports and everything else, but however, your body,
And trust yourself.
and trust
If
yourself.
if any care that you are receiving is not evidence-based and you feel like it's fear-based, it's okay to get a second opinion. You don't have to show back up to that doctor. And one final thing, stop letting these doctors tell you it's too late to transfer to
Oh
somebody else, because it's not.
no, it's not.
I didn't
No.
solidify home birth until I was almost 30 weeks, and
Hmm.
that's unheard of, in the
Hmm.
hospital side. After 20 something weeks, they're like, "Oh, no, it's too late." I'm like, "Mm-mm. I'm about
Yeah.
to have this baby in less than 2 months. I'm still changing my mind. Y'all might go kill me up in here."
Yeah, I think that, it's true, is that we have to realize we have options.
We do.
And sometimes we
We
feel like,
do.
again, our options are limited, and I think that for example, our options don't go past the main street. And so
Yes.
if that is the local hospital, that has to be my option.
Mhm.
But it's not. You have to do the research. You have to, like she said, you have to do the hashtags. It's okay to spend time researching other locations to
Yes.
where you want to have your children. And I think it's okay. I think that it's a lot of shame in it
Yes.
because there is an expectation to say, well, why is it that you think that your child deserves to be delivered at this hospital? But you have to choose what's best for you and your family.
What feels right.
What feels right.
Yes.
There's one thing about women: we know when something is
Oh,
wrong,
yeah.
when something is right. I don't know what it is, but trust me, we
Yes.
know when something is wrong and when something is right. And if you feel that there is something wrong, stick to it.
Mhm.
Do not doubt yourself. Do whatever you have to do to get out of that situation when it
'Cause
comes to
it's your
delivery.
life.
It is your life. Because at the end of the day, true story, to where
Yes.
families are leaving the hospitals without
Mhm.
the moms.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
not something that we just seen on social media or just a talk or a Netflix series, but
Right.
this is true story to where Black women are dying more in labor
Mhm.
than ever before.
'Cause we're not heard. We're not listened to.
We're not listened to.
Yeah.
And when we do say something, we are called out of our names, controlling, evil Black women, and all these
Angry.
things. Angry because we like to roll our neck. It's just sometimes we roll our neck to try to keep us from not
Yes.
behaving a certain way. But my point is that, ladies, you have to, especially you moms who are pregnant now,
Yeah.
and you feel as if that your options have been taken away from you because your doctor only said this is the only information they have.
Mhm.
Do the research after watching this episode. Trust me. This is what Mom Monday is about. That we
Yeah.
love to bring to you real stories that's going to help you.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it's about. And so I'm excited about part two. You are,
Me too. Oh,
we
yes.
have to do part two of this because this conversation is so needed, like I said, and it's dear to my heart because I get a lot of stories that I wish didn't exist, in a sense of I wish you didn't experience such a horror story with your delivery.
Mhm.
And I hate it. I always tell them my birthing stories weren't bad, but however, they want the best.
Yeah.
There could have been something done differently.
Mhm.
But and so my desire and prayer for every woman that's watching this, if you know a mom that's pregnant, if you know a mom that's going to eventually, that's deep, one day going to get pregnant, whatever the case is, encourage them.
Yeah.
to do their research. Encourage them to find what other options they have. Don't let them just take the report from the doctor, but
Oh yeah.
encourage them, you know. And so again, I want to thank you. If you have any last encouragement, like guys, moms, you're gonna see her back on this topic.
I'm coming back anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime you'll have me, I will be here.
I'm so excited. Did you have any last words? I know I said thank you, but I want to say thank you again
Yeah.
for just
Yes, mamas, trust your gut. Trust your gut. That baby lived inside of you for however long. You have everything in you that that baby already needs.
yeah.
Just trust your gut.
Yeah.
Holy Spirit literally will guide you in
Mhm.
ways unimaginable. What you know is what you know. What you don't know. But let's not leave it up to the doctor to tell us. Let's take back postpartum.
Mm.
Let's do the work during those 40 weeks and dig for information and figure out, how can I feel seen? How can I feel heard? You deserve, like, what better occasion than to bring life into the world? You deserve to be showered with comfort and care. You deserve to be shout. People should be wait. You bring humans to the world. Like, somebody should be waiting on you hand and foot.
Yeah.
Just trust your gut
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
know that everything that baby needs, you already have it inside
Mhm.
of you.
Yeah. I
So
love that.
yeah, part two, I'll be bringing more resources. I'll definitely come with the apps and the doctors and the people to follow who
Yeah.
have helped me along the way.
I love it. I would definitely love for you to share that information because I know a lot of moms who will love to have that in their arsenal, just to have with them and just to know about it and become aware of it. So again, moms, thank you so much for
Thank you
joining.
for having me.
Oh my God, you're so welcome. Listen, this is as you can see, this is something that's so dear to my heart, and so I'm dedicated to this journey with helping moms as long as I walk this earth. And so, again, ladies, I want you to put your notifications on and stay tuned and stay updated with everything that we are going to just create for you and announce for you for 2022. Listen, moms, there's nothing in this world that you cannot do. You do not have to settle, but what you do have to understand is the importance of organizing your life, and don't feel as if you are under the pressure of not showing up for yourself. But be okay with saying every day, I'm going to do my best
Yeah.
as a mom. All right. Have a great one, moms. Talk to you later.